common sense approach to governing, putting Huntington Beach first for the people of Huntington Beach. It's not a tough math equation, but we worked hard and we ended up taking from a 6-1 council progressive to a 4-3 council in 22, and everything switched then.
Welcome once again to the Conversations That Matter podcast. I'm your host, John Harris. We have a special guest today from across the country. I am actually, for most of you, you know this, I'm sitting in the Hudson Valley region of New York, but I'm actually going to talk to someone who's very close to where I was originally born. I was born in Van Nuys, California. We're talking to someone from Huntington Beach, California, actually the mayor of Huntington Beach, California, Mayor Pat Burns, and he is going to share a story with us that I think you're going to find encouraging. I think that if you're someone interested in local politics, you don't want to miss this episode. You've heard me talk a lot about localism, getting involved in your local communities. And it's in that vein and with that spirit that I want to introduce to you Mayor Pat Burns. Thank you, Mayor Burns, for being with us and being willing to share what happened there in Huntington Beach.
Yeah, we were heading down the wrong direction, going progressive and listening to all the mandates being sent down from Sacramento, the capital of California, and it started creeping personally into our lives. We're trying to take over and then ruin our city with their mandates, overbuilding, over mandating things in Huntington Beach from the state where we can govern ourselves. And it started a movement when our council became 6-1, which not 6-1 progressive, which is not representative of the people that live here. Really, we're just pretty good down-home people that just want to live our lives and keep our city the way it is, which is a good stoked feeling that we want to just live and peacefully and have a good time and really control our own lives. And at that time, you could see the mandates with COVID and all that. Newsom shut down our beach for a day until our city attorney sued him, and they opened him back right away. And there was a lot of things like that going on. And then, the council turned 6-1. We fought back. That was in 2020. And then in 2022, there was a group of us that got together, really formed a pack called, organically became the Fab Four. And we put the work in. We all had similar interests as far as politics in putting Huntington Beach in a conservative manner, putting Huntington Beach first in a conservative manner, and keeping Huntington Beach, and fighting the state from their mandates, because they tried to impose and mandate a bunch of housing on us, the RENA, regional housing numbers, and it was crazy the numbers they wanted us to add. It would have ruined our city. It would have changed Huntington Beach into a very urban rather than a suburban like city. It would have been a very urban city. And there's too much overbuilding already that they got through in those years. And we're now, still fighting. We're in court with them. And I think when things sort out, that will prevail. Hopefully, I'm optimistic.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I remember in 2020 seeing huge protests there right on the beach.
Yeah.
People who were upset about the beaches being shut down, and rightfully so. And I mentioned originally I'm from California. I go back there all the time, so I've been to Huntington Beach, and I thought of Huntington Beach as kind of your moderate people who are outside of California think that California is just completely blue, progressive state, and that's not true. Obviously, there's some deep red areas, and Huntington Beach, though, I thought, well, this is kind of your, standard suburban outside of LA fare. But then when I saw, so the story came to me by someone who lived there. They sent me this whole thing, and the articles were all negative against you guys, right? The articles were like, look at these horrible MAGA fascists who just took over the city council.
The left control media.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's hard to find positive stories about this, which is one of the reasons we're doing this to get the truth out there. But I love what you said, that putting Huntington Beach first, like just like America first, it's not just that, it's California first, it's Huntington Beach first, and that's your home. On a personal level, I mean, what was it for you that got you motivated to go out there, get political?
Well, I've always volunteered. Like when my kids were in school, I was on their school board, uh, finance committee, and all that. And then volunteered with their soccer. Then I got into volunteering, like with I was a policeman in Long Beach for 30 years, so I got on the credit union uh, supervisory board and then board of directors. So I was always volunteering. And then opportunity came in to volunteer on a commission, a board within the city. I got on that, and then I did that for 8 years. And then my buddy was on. He was on the council, and he came to me and he said, "Hey, I need somebody to take my place, and I think you're it." And I told him, "I'm no politician. Find a politician." Not ignorance, you know. And 2 years later, he came to me and said, "I haven't found anybody. Let's go do your papers." Well, I'm not one to do things half level. So when we did our papers, I was all in. I put in the time. I grouped up with three other like-minded individuals, and we were very diverse in our backgrounds. That's what is kind of cool about it. Very diverse. We had a very seasoned politician, and a guy named Tony Strickland, who has now left our council and he's at the state senate. And then we had Gracie Vandermark, who was just a mama bear, just got into it, defending her kids material in kids' schools. And then Casey McKeon, he's just a local kind of business guy. And then me, who was a retired cop, and just so very diverse, but yet common sense approach to governing, putting Huntington Beach first for the people of Huntington Beach. It's not a tough math equation, but we worked hard, and we ended up taking from a 6-1 council progressive to a 4-3 council in 22, and everything switched then. And although Huntington Beach kind of is a moderate, we kind of just want to live life. We all stoked on life and just want to be peaceful and kind of control our own lives back then. But I think since we got in, people have woken up even more, and that, hey, if we want this life, we got to kind of work to keep it too. We can't just have it. We got to work it. And we've gotten a lot of people supporting us throughout the community that very much is very supportive of a common sense, Huntington Beach first, do what's just, I always say, for me, it's easy to do the right thing. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't have any problem governing. I can make decisions, gather facts, look at the situation, look at all the things involved. I can make decisions and govern. Politics, I'm not good at. I don't like politics one bit. I think it's an evil, nasty game that I dread having to ever campaign again. I don't want to really, I'm not in it for fortune or fame. I just want to, it's my hometown, and that's how I got in. I love my hometown.
That's the right reason. That's the right answer. I just wish everyone was like that, right, in the political world. But you might have mentioned it before, but now it's 7-0, I understand, right? I think you said.
In 24, we followed that same model we took as far as getting the four of us in to turn that 6-1 into a 4-3 conservative. Now we took that same model. Those guys worked their tail off. The HB3, Butch Twining, Don Kennedy, and Chad Williams, and they all put their nose to the grindstone and had the same kind of attitude as us, as Huntington Beach first, common sense, and let people live. And so Huntington Beach first, I can't say it any other way. And now it's 7-0. And, we have our differences of opinions. It's not a totally smooth road, which is cool. I love different opinions. I love cross-checking. That's cool with me. But it's as long as it's kind of along with Huntington Beach first and not following every whim and want of Sacramento and Governor Newsom.
Right. Well, I think that's the thing that people are going to be the most curious about. So if you took it from, I'm just going to reiterate this again. There was 6 progressives versus 1 conservative in 2020, and now there are 7 conservatives.
Pretty
That's
much, yes.
incredible. That's insane. That's like a complete reversal from dominance of the progressives to dominance of the conservatives. And I mean, you keep saying, well, we just did the same formula. We just did the same thing. Well, what was the thing? Like, what did you do that turned this around? Because that's not a small turnaround.
Well, our city council rotates election cycles every 2 years, 4 one cycle, 3 the next, because there's 7 members on council. So 1 year, one even year, it's 4. The next even year, it's 3 run. So the first year we got 4 of us. We're like-minded. We had the same direction, and we got together. We did 100+ meet and greets in the last 6 months of the campaign before voting. We've worked our tails off, met people. We put out signs. We knocked on doors. We really put the work in, and we got elected. It just blows me away that communities can't find people to run. Because it's not that hard. It's not that demanding. It's your home. It's what you live for. That's where you need to put the work in to secure. You mow your lawn, you trim your trees. You got to put the work in where it really counts sometimes, and that's in governing. And it only takes one set of nefarious or very radicalized groups to completely screw your city up, your home, where it's irreversible, because they can do it in a heartbeat, make changes that affect your town forever. And that's what's scary. That's one reason I got into it, is like I saw the fight, and well, I don't mind fighting. So
Yeah. Well, it takes work. That's what I'm hearing you say. And that's what a lot of people might not want to put in, or they feel intimidated. But I think it's encouraging to know you can do this. It might take a sacrifice, but if you love your town, if you love your home, then you're going to do it for the betterment of the people around you, and especially your children. So going from this progressive domination to now conservative domination in the city council, what kinds of things have you been able to accomplish as far as rolling back maybe some bad policies, but also instituting some good ones for your city?
one of my favorite, and it really kind of set the tone. We did this as a council pretty early on, and I think it had great effect, and it really made some changes really across the country. And just to put common sense into no special interest, no special identity politics. I don't like that. Governing is for everybody equally. If you're treating somebody special, you're demeaning somebody else. You're taking away, and you're not serving somebody else fairly. So everybody should be treated fairly. And part of that was represented under that flag behind me, the red, white, and blue. I love that thing. And I love it. And we passed a policy that just said nothing but government flags on government pulling property, displayed or anything. That's all government flags only. And with the military branches and our city or county, state, but government flags only, unless, and the only caveat is if there's a special occasion, there's a special dignitary or event, and all 7 members, it has to be unanimous. All 7 members of the council agree we can fly one for a special event, different, but no other flags. And that, believe it or not, something that simple, something that common sense, I immediately started getting emails from other cities throughout United States and even some Canada. And then our county did it, which our county isn't like staunch red. Yeah, and so, but they did it. And then Florida did it. And the latest one who did it a couple months ago, just about verbatim to our policy, is the feds. Trump did it. It's a simple government flags only. We're not flying something special. We're not playing some games, treating somebody extra special and stuff like that. It's just, to me, it's a disservice to everybody in this country.
So yeah, that's. I mean, I'm assuming it's June right now as we're speaking. So in previous June months, I'm assuming there are other flags flying on some of the buildings, perhaps that were out of step with the people of Huntington Beach and maybe what they wanted presented. So you have American flags everywhere now. So that's kind of cool. I mean, what?
We always did.
Yeah.
We always
Okay.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a
Yeah. I
good,
mean, that's how we've all
we're
grown
a
up.
solid city, man.
Yeah. What about some of the? I mean, I know the COVID mandates, that was a state level thing, and there probably wasn't much. By the time you guys got in 2022, that had all pretty much rectified itself, I guess.
One of our
But
first meetings, I think our first full meeting, they tried to extend some of the COVID conditions, like being able to video like we're doing kind of, but into council meetings where either speakers can video in or even the council members can video in. And we nixed that. Our first meeting said, show up or don't participate, And if you want to wear a mask, you go for it, but it's by your choice. We're not mandating it. And that's another thing we've done is we're not going to make any of our people that work for us or anything wear masks or get shots. So that was how we did that early too.
yeah, well, that's good. So there were some things actually. Then they were implementing COVID era stuff. Was there? You said the DEI type things, and I know the government on the state and then the national level, they obviously were involved in pushing a lot of that. But on the local level where you are, I mean, what did you do to, other than the flag issue? Were there other things that were sort of pushing back on the DEI initiatives that you were?
We got rid of the word equity. I think, equity in all our, like some of our government forms and stuff like that. To me, you work for that. What's fair is what you work for. If you're being treated unfairly, then those people, they ought to be, the situation ought to be corrected. But you don't get special favor, and just because you're something else, you want, whether you're a liberal, conservative, gay, heterosexual, or anything like that, you just get treated fairly, straight across the board, no special favor. Like I say, if you're giving special favor to someone else is getting not treated fairly, equally.
Yeah.
And we got rid of that equity term. That equity term was, we got that rid of that, I think, on just about all our government forms.
It's a poison pill.
It is.
It's there for a reason, and it's not a good reason.
Yeah.
When you, this is the thing that boggles my mind. You go from this progressive monopoly to now a conservative monopoly. There must have been people that were angry, right? There must have been protests or hate mail, something, but it sounds like things have been going pretty good, or am I reading that wrong?
Yeah, there still is some upset people. I mean, they still voice their opinion, which is cool with me. Let yourself be heard. But right. I just don't like, what kills me, what gets me is the lying. When they misrepresent things to just make a point, try to convince their constituents and things that we're doing something, but they know it's a lie what they're saying. And we're not doing those things. We're not. But that's the only way they can convince their people to maybe come their way, is lie about it. And to me, it's disrespectful to their constituents. They're treating them like idiots, that they can't handle the truth, or they are not going to win their argument with the truth. And that's the part of the politics that I have a big, like I said, I was a policeman for 30 years. I got lied to for 30 years. I mean, people lie to you all the time. And this, in the politics aspect, I'm like, man, how do they get together as a group, formulate lies to present to their constituents for a cause? And that baffles the hell out of me. It really kind of, I'm not used to that.
Well, I think it's important to talk about this because I think so many people avoid even local politics because they don't want to deal with the grief. They don't want people saying nasty things about them. Yeah. They certainly don't want to be lied about. But I think people need some encouragement that, like, hey, you can do this. Like, it's like we're used to seeing national news stories of like Supreme Court justices with whole mobs outside of their house, and that's not the average. That's not happening to everyone, right? Like, you're gonna get opposition, but is it worth it? I mean, I know the answer, but like maybe talk about that a little. Like, is it worth it to go through some of the things you've gone through to, um, you know, take this position to help the people in your area?
Yeah, I'm a little different than some, like, because if somebody, I've never been accosted on the street. I mean, I get stopped all the time, and people very, very supportive of what we're doing. They are so supportive in our community that it blows me away. And I mean, they, from all over the place, they are very pleased with what we're doing. I've never been stopped on the street and accosted. Nobody's ever come to my house or anything like that. Like once after a council meeting, we were adjourned. We were all leaving, a big group of the left and us, and they start attacking me. Well, I don't take if I don't need to be that person who's silent like I am on the dais. If I'm not on that dais, you better be ready for an argument back. And I let them have it, in those certain terms. I wasn't very like polite about it either. Like I told them, hey, I'm not on the dais. I don't need to take your stuff right now. So you better be careful what you say, because I'm going to give it right back full barrel. And because people think that because you do this, that you're open game, and that's not true. And for the amount of, like you see on the news, like you said, the Supreme Court, for as many people who's gone through, been on the Supreme Court or been in Congress, been in Senate, state level, very few judges, very few politicians, anybody gets like their home attacked and things. At a local level, I haven't seen it too much. There has been cases, but it's worth still defending your town from being misrun and possibly ruined at a group of people that really aren't representative of the community. I really urge people to get involved.
Yeah. How come that is so often the case that guys like yourself who have a stake in the local area, who are salt of the earth people, common sense, all of that, they don't tend to, I mean, maybe I've given some reasons, but they don't tend to be as involved sometimes. Like it seems like you had a good situation with 4 of you who decided to support each other. That was big. It wasn't just one person going alone, but there's so many communities and people I talk to in those communities, they say they don't have 3 other friends that are like this. And then the people in those positions are they're terrible people. They don't have virtue. They don't care about the local area. Those are the people that get into this. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but a lot of these people that get into it, I understand them. Like, because they're kind of that mindset of they want power, and absolute power is their goal. They want to be able to rule. They want to be the shot caller in their way, not the people's way. And that's what bugs me too, is they want to do it for themselves. It's self-service over community service. And that is really more of the left's thing. But why more people? And they just want to live. They want to, like I said before, they want to just live their life, to go on vacation with their family. They don't want, like as a mayor, I'm putting in over 40 hours a week. I was retired for 10 years. I was living a good life. I mean, I never wanted for anything. But yet I don't mind doing the work either, because like I say, I know it's temporary. I'll go back to being just a regular councilman next year. I won't have the demands I do of this year, but I don't mind doing it because it's an investment in my home. I love this place.
And I love how you keep saying that. It's your home.
And people, I think, overlook that quite a bit, that it's just not what's, behind your sidewalk or in your driveway. It's your community. It's where you go to dinner. It's where all the people that you live around, you see at the stores. I mean, that's part of the home, and I'll
Yeah.
protect it. I don't mind working for it. It's an investment.
Yeah. Any encouragement you can give people about California? I know the reputation is that it's a blue stronghold. There's no going back to any kind of common sense anything there. But I mean, that's your home too, right? And I mean, and that's a lot of my family still lives in California, and I think it's a beautiful state. I have a lot of pride even in the fact that I'm from there originally, but it's just kind of sad to see what's happened. And so, I mean, what can you say about just the state of California?
If you look at a map, red versus blue, most of California is red, and even more than before. I think it's becoming more red all the time.
Really?
But we have lost. We've lost. Is it one or two Congress positions because we've lost so much population? And it's anticipated next census that we're going to lose 4 more because of population loss, because people are leaving. But we're still, if you look at a map, you'll see that San Francisco, LA, San Diego, the real urbanized areas are red. They're solid red. And that's where a lot of the people live, and the majority, in a sense, those
Solid
urban
blue.
areas. And that's what screws up California. The rest of us, we're pretty we're red, and we, like I say, unfortunately people want it, and I don't blame them in some ways, but in this day and age, it's hard to put your head in the sand and ignore what's going on. Oh, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to I don't want to know about politics. I don't watch the news or anything. So they stick their head in the sand and just want to live their life. Well, in this day and age, you better be careful, because you're going to lose it. I mean, as close as Huntington Beach was to being lost, it's pretty scary. And it didn't take that. It wasn't that hard to find a group of people and take back the council so you can run it as the people want your city to be run. It could be done, and it's not that hard. I'm not a fundraiser. I hate, oh man, the politics again. That's the politics. Fundraising and I mean, knocking on doors. Hi, I'm Pat. Can you vote for me? Yeah, that wasn't one of my favorite things, man. You had to just suck it up and just do it. And but I was also amazed how many people were very welcoming. I only had a couple people slam doors in my face in hundreds, maybe thousands of doors. And most everybody was very interested in learning what in the heck has happened to our city, what is going on. They were starting to wake up that their home their community was being threatened, and that's what helped push us over. And it wasn't just a win. Our lowest, number 4, he had like 33,000 votes, and the next one behind him had number 5, which was a progressive, had 21,000. So over 30 something percent he won by. It was a mandate. And then It was even worse this time. With the Huntington Beach 3, they haven't won by, I mean, well, no, they won like 4,000 votes each. They won by quite a bit. It was So it was a clean mandate, and so the people spoke. A lot of the left still doesn't respect that. They think their voice should be the primary voice listened to, and no other voice. Because they are loud.
You mentioned to me off camera you're a Christian. I was just wondering, 'cause a lot of the audience listening, they're Christians too, and that motivates them for their lives. I mean, did that play into your decision here to get involved and become the mayor? Is this something before God that you see as a responsibility you have, and did that just factor in?
Well, it made me more resolute and peaceful with my decision to get into it, because we started talking at churches and meeting people at the churches, and it really set the tone of how many people actually really were concerned and cared for their community, and we're looking for somebody looking for a group of people to help them secure their home as a like a Christian loving community, conservative community. And that made it very easy to just say, you know what, I know I'm doing the right thing. I mean, I knew I was doing the right thing before. And like I say, I have no problem doing the right thing. Even 100 people come to our council meeting screaming how screwed up we are. But if I know we're doing the right thing for the best of the city, I swear my pulse goes from about 65 to 65 in making that decision. It's,
I love
you know, it's like I say, I don't have too much problem making decisions. And no decision's often worse than a bad decision. And it could be fixed, but it's serving the people has to come first. And self-service, which is the left, I think is more into.
Self-promotion,
I'm not a big
ladder
fan
climbing.
I'm not a big fan of our governor. I think the guy is so disingenuous, and he's borderline evil in the way he just is really trying to take over full power of all the state, the cities. He's disrespecting cities as a governing unit to be able to govern their own cities. He's not a nice guy. He's a power monger, and it's scary.
It's funny that he's, I think, shifting though. I mean, what do you think of that? Do you think
He's rebranding? He's rebranding to make himself a national figure. That guy, he's almost completely ruined this state. There's $26 billion unaccounted for in homelessness, which is an industry in itself. Homelessness wasn't that bad until Newsom came into power, and so much money. It's become an industry. I say it all the time from my experience, because I ran a task when I was a lieutenant downtown Long Beach. I had guys on a homeless task force, and you could control them. They were respectful as long as you gave them rules. But if you take away rules, like Newsom was trying to do for a while, in dealing with homeless, like the camping laws and things like that, he took away all municipal powers to affect no camping laws, like on our beaches. And if people don't have rules, what are they going to do? Human nature, whatever they want. That's what was happening. They were sleeping where they want, urinating where they wanted, using their drugs where they want. And it was disgusting. And it's not what people want. It's not what people want to see or live around.
I was there maybe 2 years ago. I think we went to Santa Barbara for a weekend, my wife and I, and I noticed they were tapping into somehow like the lights to charge their cell phones, the lights along the beach. I'm like, they know how to do that, and they have a cell phone, but they don't have a home. But so was that happening? Not that specifically, but were these things happening in Huntington Beach, homelessness becoming an issue, and were you guys able to do something about that?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. That's one of our biggest running issues, was that we were going to deal with the homeless. We were going to actually enforce laws. The council before us kind of laid down a law, or a kind of I'll say an order to the police department. Hey, leave them alone. They, respect them, don't touch them, don't enforce what laws you can. They deserve to, they're unhoused or whatever. They have a whole list of names. Somewhere I have a list of about 8 names for homelessness, and so they were sleeping on our beaches, sleeping in our under our pier, on our pavilion right by the pier. People didn't feel safe. It was a mess. It stunk. The businesses had people that get to work, and people would be sleeping in their doorways. And we said no. And I mean, within a very quick time, when we got on, the police knew they had we had their backs. We asked them to enforce the laws, and we did build what's called the navigation center by law, that we had to do it. We were court ordered or so, and where there's 174 of them in a facility called a navigation center, and that helps us control the homelessness on the street.
Yeah. So you've actually met this problem. This problem can be solved. That's a lot of I think half the problem is trying to convince people that you can actually do something about this.
Oh, you can't make it too easy on them either. I mean, I hate to say it, but again, that's where I say people want to live their lives and live it as they choose. These homeless, this is the way they want to do it. And I equate a lot of times homeless to a drug addict. You're not going to help them unless they want to help. They're going to do what they do until they want to not do it. And if you're going to feed them, house them, give them whatever they want, they'll take all they can until you decide not to, and then they'll figure out something else to do. And kind of, I hate to say it, but drug addicts, they'll take and take and take until something happens where they can't anymore, and then they have to make a different decision. And a lot of times it's not until they hit the bottom before they make a decision that really helps themselves. You're not going to give them, I don't believe you're not going to give them into curing their situation.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Yeah, we probably should have started with that, the homeless thing, because I totally forgot that's probably one of the big issues, and maybe one of the reasons you all got elected. It sounds like it is, was to deal with that and to help the beaches and stuff. What were there any other issues that were big items? I mean, we talked about COVID, we talked about DEI, homelessness. I mean, were there other things that you mentioned also I guess the state wanting to change the zoning in the town as well, which would change the character of it.
Yeah, the state was trying to mandate 13,386 low-income units in our city, and to get that, it was going to mean that because you can't do it all in one, like in 15 buildings, 1,500 unit buildings, right. Whatever. You're going to have to do it at 20% at a time. So it really meant that we were going to have to build like 42,000 more units in the city. Well, the city's 95% built out. Okay, now listen, 95% built out, and we already have 82,000 housing units in the city. That's what we're made up of. So we're at 50% more in a city that's 95% built out. They said, well, rip out some of your industrial, rezone it to build in high density apartments and units. It's like, no, we don't want it. I mean, well, then where are they going to work? And then our city's going to demand more traffic, more infrastructure, more people, more everything, but yet we don't have places for them to work. It was like, just the whole plan is a scam to me. It's a progressive scam. One, to urbanize all these cities, so then it becomes blue, and then and then
that's what it is.
And then what happens? They get more power. They get more power over the cities and the state, and at some point, it's too much for a city to go back. Can't retreat from that. The damage is so entrenched.
Yeah, I was going to ask you next, why would they do this? But that makes sense. It would make it more blue. The urban sprawl Los Angeles County, I think, already has more people in it than something like 12 other of the states in the country. Like it's it's the largest. It's incredible how many people are in that area, and just controlling that county alone, you can practically control the state. But if you can spread that out and make it bigger and more expansive, then that just increases the control.
Yeah, I've heard all kinds of reasons. Barstow and stuff said, bring it here. You can put all the low income. You can put all. Please build here. We got all the land. We got plenty of room for
that. Yeah.
And they said, no. Poor people deserve to live by the beach too. And yeah. And right. then they want to build these big places with no parking off what they call transportation corridors, self-imposed, progressively imposed or titled transportation corridors. And we say, well, they're going to need to park someplace. They said, no, they're going to use the mass transit and e-bikes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. E-bikes and what is the bullet train that
Newsom wanted? Nowhere.
Yeah, the train to nowhere or whatever.
Where's that, to Bakersfield?
Yeah,
for billions.
That's one of the weirdest things to me, given that there's so many, I don't know. There's just the earthquake thing alone. I just was like, really? But yeah. California, that's California for you.
The list goes on.
At least you have In-N-Out Burger, so you can eat some good lunches there, and some beautiful beaches and great weather.
Oh,
I
yeah.
miss it. I really do. And even when I go back, I went back there last year. My grandfather died. He lived in LA, and it was so green at that point. I was like, oh man, like, I'm thinking in my head, like, I could probably endure the progressive stuff. You pay a little more, but you enjoy the weather. But it really is an amazing place. And I think that's the motive. That's what people need to hear from your message, is that, hey, if it's your home, if you love it, if you love the people there, the weather, the topography, the cuisine, all of the stuff, you got to fight to maintain that. It doesn't just stay the way it is because it's always been this way. It can change very quick. So thanks for that reminder.
Scary how quickly it can. And we've gotten some good people to get on boards and commissions, planning commission, finance commission, community and library services commission. Good people from the city we've recruited to be on those, and they help us out immensely. We can't do it all. We can't know everything in state. We need help like that. And we've been lucky to see some people see what we're doing and say, you know what, I need help. And they've helped. And we're always trying to recruit people to maybe get into, because all it takes is a bump on the head and I'm out. And then they're going to have to find somebody, and we got to always have somebody in reserve that can step up and be like-minded to serve.
All right. Well, if you're listening and you're in Huntington Beach, contact Mayor Pat Burns and say, hey, I'd love to serve. And, if you're somewhere else, then, I would just encourage people, do what Mayor Pat here has done and take some responsibility for your community if you have the bandwidth for it and God's given you the resources to do it. So with that, thank you, Mayor. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, God bless.
God bless.